All right, welcome, Unsecurity podcast listeners. Welcome to episode 158. The date is Friday, December 10th, 2021. Still, it'll be 2022 before you know it. 2 weeks and a day before Christmas. Get your Christmas shopping done. That's my big tip for today. But joining me is Brad. Brad and I, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
It's been a week. You know, work. That's what we do in this industry.
Yep.
Seems.
Yeah. It's actually been kind of nice. We're I'm caught up, which is from a billable work perspective, which is weird to say this time of year for us.
FRSecure did a fantastic job this year as a company. Furthered the mission. We helped hundreds, thousands of people this year. With better information security, we stayed true to our mission of fixing the broken industry, which essentially means we don't do anything unless it contributes to a fix, right?
Yep.
We're not in this for our own benefit. We do benefit, right? So it's that mission before money. And FRSecure's it was amazing this year. Last year we took it in the pants a little bit in terms of bottom line. We did not lay off anybody. We made that conscious decision to do that. That took a sacrifice from everybody. People gave up their bonuses. There were certain growth things, training things that we couldn't do last year because of the pandemic. But we kept the family together and believed in each other. This year, it paid off, and it's going to continue to pay off because we just keep marching down this path. It was a great year. This is the first year I can remember on the FRSecure side that people don't have to bust their tails all holiday season. You guys can spend some time with your families, which is love it. So great
Yeah.
job this year, man.
Yeah. It's nuts. This is easily don't make any mistake. Like we worked really hard, but the December part of it, the last half of this now, looking forward the next couple of weeks, it's going to be the lightest that I've had here.
Well, and it's what happens when you do your work first, right? We worked really, really hard from this year, from January 1st, and we're still working hard.
Mm-hmm.
But we all deserve some rest when we already put the effort in, right? We front end loaded all our work as opposed to what usually happens in our industry is, you work your tail off all year long but last
Everybody
month or two of the year,
everybody forgets they have to have
you're
their pen
slammed.
test or their risk assessment until Q4 every year. I think we've
Yeah,
managed expectations a little bit better with some of our customers too. Planned it better, talked about it
absolutely.
earlier.
The way the executive management, the way, you know, it would be taboo to ever tell a customer that we can't do your work, and now we do, uh, with a reason, right? This is the reason why we can't. We're at capacity, and we're not going to make our employees unhealthy because of your poor planning. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. And I think everybody is just we've grown and matured and learned. So hopefully this continues moving forward. That we can keep it a little lighter.
Yeah, I'm super excited too because I think the momentum from this year and all the things that we learned in the last couple of years have
Hmm.
made us so resilient that 2022 is going to be an amazing year. 2023 is going to be an amazing year. We just keep staying focused on what it is that we're good at, and that's the mission.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah. It's funny. I was telling uh, Harmon this earlier. The quality, everybody's saying how there's this huge shortage. They can't fill their positions in the infosec industry, and we're hiring. And oh my gosh, the quality of the candidates that are reaching out to us is unbelievable. Like you're looking at 20-year veterans looking to come here, which is awesome.
Well,
Like it's
it,
you do the right thing and word gets out.
well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Look in the mirror, man. The reason why they want to come here is because of you. It's because of you and the rest of the team who live out the mission. Our core values aren't just things that are written on the wall. We live by these things. We
Mhm.
care about each other, and people want to work in that culture.
Yeah,
So it's a testament to the great job you guys are doing.
everyone, top down, every single person. So,
Yeah, yeah, super cool. Well, this is the end of the year. Last week we talked about, things that you can do to protect yourself, during online shopping season, things to watch out for. We gave a whole bunch of really good tips. So if you didn't catch episode 157, go listen to that. And if you find good tips in there, share that with your family.
yeah,
Usually the older generations, I think, are usually more victimized because, it's a lot of the stuff is new.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's like
so share that with
digital
family and
native
friends.
versus
Help
digital immigrant.
for sure. So this week we're going to talk about what your office should do
Hmm.
to prepare for the holidays because the attackers. It's an interesting time of year. Attackers are, most of the attackers that you are going to confront are not nation state. We're not talking about
Hmm.
trying to protect the Department of Defense or a nuclear facility. We're talking about your, small to mid-sized business or even, large business. What those attackers are motivated by is money.
Right.
So if you think about, what additional opportunity do we give them when we're not in the office or when we're not paying attention? And I think that's the big point for today's, discussion with you.
Yep. Well, I think
So
oh, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, so I think honestly the risks are very similar to what we talked about last week, right? The Everybody's getting ready for the excuse me, the holidays. We've got, are people able to travel or not? Wow, I'm all choked up over this.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, right.
wow,
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be
yeah,
okay, Brad. It's gonna be all right.
but yeah, it's the same things. But the stakes are higher because now it's not just one person; it's all your employees, all your customers are now facing this threat.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So much of one of the things that I think that's undersold in our industry is the importance of situational awareness,
Hmm.
understanding the situation that you're currently in, recognizing the threats, making sure that you're not vulnerable because threats and vulnerabilities that equals, bad events. And so this time of year, just like every year, I mean, things that are different. I think the political climate is kind of funky right now. We've got, the pandemic is still going on. There's some fear around Omicron. Schools are still kind of messed up. The
Yeah.
political
Just so much
divide
uncertainty
is
right now.
right. Yeah, inflation. I mean, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. So those things all steal from your situational awareness. If you're thinking about those things and not thinking about what's currently right in front of you, you make yourself, I guess, easier
Right.
to compromise.
Well,
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's
I mean,
higher
when you're
likelihood.
distracted, it's easier to make a mistake. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Right. Have you ever done this? Do this. Here's a good tip. Here's a good, just exercise to prove this point. When you're in your next meeting and you're having a discussion, let's say it's a meeting of no more than like 3 or 4 people. I want you to start writing a blog post
Mhm.
or write an article, write something, write meaningful, white paper while you're in that meeting and see how that goes.
Oh yeah, no, I've had to respond to something on fire during a meeting, and they're like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "I totally missed what you said. I'm sorry. You don't. You can't focus. Multitasking doesn't isn't good in that situation."
Right, because you're not paying attention to, you're trying to pay attention to two different things at the same time, right? So when you're in your meeting and you're working on your paper, you're either working on your paper and you miss what's going on in the meeting, or you're focusing on the meeting and trying to get the paper thing in when
Right.
there's lulls in the conversation, and it's a shitty paper.
Right.
Excuse my language. It's a crappy paper.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we've got people remote. Kids are going to be getting out of school here shortly, So now you're not going to get that break. You're going to have kids again around the house. And we know
Yeah.
attackers ramp up this time of year. So, it's a good reminder to send out maybe an email. Hey, keep in mind, these things are increasing right now. Be aware.
Well, exactly. And so the attackers know this, and being in it, being that they're in it for the money. I mean, think about it your own way, right? We say in security to think like an attacker. Well, if I was an attacker, I would wait until you're not watching.
Yep.
I mean, it's my success rate is probably much higher. So do expect more attacks. Expect more of those attacks to go unnoticed.
Well, yeah, and if you look at it, like,
You may not be watching.
our IR team just saw is dealing with this where we had Hafnium, I think was what it was, or it was one of the exchange bugs or attacks earlier this year, and you got customers that were like, okay, we're clean, we didn't get attacked, and now all of a sudden, last week they attackers started launching waves of attacks and compromising and actually accessing these compromised servers. And why is that? Well, it's the holidays, everybody's busy. It's going to cause the most disruption to your business.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's you know, the first question: why attackers might wait until your company's out of the office to strike. That's a pretty simple answer. It's because you're less likely to be watching or paying attention.
Yep, yep.
So the next question then is, oh, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, get in longer, right? Get deeper into this system before anybody knows that you're there.
Exactly. Exactly. And even if they did, even if they were watching, it's going to take a little bit longer for them to respond if they notice,
Right.
right? If I'm in the office or, at my home office doing my normal day to day on on the console or whatever, I can respond pretty quickly. I can shut things down quick. I
Mm-hmm.
can, do what I need to do. If I'm at home, not away, I'm away from the console, maybe making a holiday dinner, going shopping, whatever I'm doing, and I get that alert and it kicks off on my phone,
Yeah. You got to get
well,
home. You got to.
it's going to take a little bit longer.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have you either have to going to get to a console quick or call somebody to get to a console quick. Yeah. So your response is going to be delayed too, and attackers know that too,
Yep.
right? It's a perfect time. If I were going to execute, let's say ransomware, if I were going to detonate and ransom everything, man, Christmas Eve be
Yep.
a
That's exactly what I
fantastic
was
time to do
thinking.
it. Christmas morning,
New Year's
for
Eve, New
sure.
Year's morning, right? You've got two holidays coming up there. The majority of people are not going to be looking at their work stuff.
And even if I got that alert, coming up on my phone, it's Christmas Eve or Christmas morning. It's like, oh crap. Okay. First of all, there's going to be a hesitation on my part because I'm with my family.
Right.
Do I really need to attend to this, or can I just like wait maybe 15, 20 minutes for my kid to open up this next gift that I'm really excited about?
Right.
I'll wait 10, 15 minutes maybe. Uh, and if you're a partier, a reveler, on New
Yeah.
Year's Eve,
New Year's Day, maybe you don't even see the alert.
right,
New.
responding to an attack when you're drunk.
Right.
I've done that, but I quit drinking 20 years ago. When you used to respond to, oh God, I can't even can't even type.
I would be surprised if there were more than a handful of IT or security people that haven't dealt with or been through that type of situation.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. So that response will also be less quality
Hmm.
too, right? I wouldn't be as focused on the actual incident as I would be if it was just a normal business day.
Yep.
So what to do? What can you do in advance? What's some advice that we can give people to do in advance to protect yourself?
Well, I think I mentioned it before, but sending out that reminder email within the organization, hey, be aware. These are the types of attacks that you see. The gift card scams, the whatever it is. Just a reminder that, hey, here's our policy. Here's where you can go to get some material to understand it. But just be aware.
Yeah, I agree. And I think make sure you got your bases covered.
Mhm.
Like who will be watching
Yeah,
at this time and who will be watching at that time. I know that nobody wants to be working on Christmas Eve, but if you've got the need for somebody to be working on Christmas Eve, you need to have somebody working on Christmas Eve. I'm sorry.
right. At least,
Maybe you can pay them more. Maybe you can give them a bigger bonus.
right.
Have somebody volunteer, step up, but somebody's got to be watching.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, that's another one. I think we've all probably been there, worked on one holiday or another, or missed something because something was down or whatever. And I mean, it's not fun. Let's be honest. But
Right.
if it's the difference between having a job or in a business or not, even sometimes you do have to make those sacrifices. It's unfortunate.
Comes with the territory, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it just like you have police officers who will be working, and
Get fired,
first responders
paramedic.
who will be
Yep.
working. Nobody really likes to do it, but it is what it is. And some people actually do like to do it. I mean, to be honest, they like the quiet, like, oh, it's Christmas Eve, sweet. I can just, you know, I'm not gonna have any meetings. I'm not gonna have any phone calls. As long as
Okay.
things stay baseline, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll be honest. One of the best job schedules I had was 8 hours Friday, 12 hours Saturday, Sunday, 8 hours Monday. What's that? 24. Yeah. And then I had
I
three
can
days
see that.
off in the middle of the week, and it was before kids. But I mean, I got so much done on the weekends at work because there was just nobody there, and then I got so much done at home because nobody was, everybody else was working, so I could go do things.
Yeah. So number one, I think is, in my opinion, like you said, I think making people aware,
Hmm.
obviously, that's definitely, important. I think also making sure you have the adequate coverage. If you don't have the adequate coverage in house, look for somebody, a consultant or somebody that can fill in, that you still have, some time to brief them on, your incident response procedures. If you don't have an incident response plan, holy crap, you get to work. You still have time for that too, but it's going to be,
Right.
maybe very very focused on a certain number of events, maybe. But I like to get, when I was, running teams, we would do what if, planning, an hour, 2 hours, sometime between now and, Christmas
Right.
break, where the team just sits around and say, what if? What are the things that could go wrong? What are we going to do when they do go wrong? Start, even though you have your incident response plan, let's just focus on the what ifs for now, this very minute or this time frame. If I see this, who am I going to call?
Right.
If I see this, who's going to respond? Who's going to get out of bed in the morning? You know what I mean? Just so everybody's aware that this is what's going to be going down.
Right. Well, and the other thing is make sure that the coverage is appropriate. Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you may not need somebody in the office, but in that what if, it's hey, Evan, you were going to watch your email, and we expect reaction time in X amount of time, X period of time on this day. Brad, you're doing this day, and you know, yeah, I might have to go in, but if there's no reason to be in, don't force somebody to just sit there.
Right. Yeah. So communication for sure. Get that out. Do the what if planning. Sit down with your team, and just go through different and be wild and open with it. Right. You don't have to have any focus to this meeting. It's just what ifs. Hey guys, what are the things that could possibly happen over the holidays that you think we need to be prepared for? You have different perspectives, different things. It'll be a great meeting, and you'll come out of it with like, okay, I feel confident that we've got most of the bad things covered. We're good. Now, I think another thing that I used to do, and I think it's a good suggestion, is shut down everything that doesn't need to be open.
Yeah.
So go get yourself a quick attack surface analysis. Go run Nmap or something on your entire IP address space. See what's out there and shut down things that don't need to be shut down. And as you're doing that, go through change control if you've got it. So you're documenting all the things that we turned off. So turn off VPN access from your vendors, right?
Yeah.
If they don't need VPN access during this time period, shut it down.
Well,
A site-to-site VPN is a great avenue for an
oh
attacker
yeah.
to do all kinds of havoc.
Yeah, honestly, this is a great excuse to do which is what you should be doing anyway, right? So, hey, look, we're not going to be in the office. It's the holidays. I need to go through and do this. And, assuming there's not any massive disruption, well, I'm not going to turn it back on unless we need to.
Right. Right. I mean, if you've designed your architecture well, you've got your critical services hopefully identified. And if you don't, that's fine. Try to figure out what the critical
Get
services
started.
are
Yep.
that have to be running during this time period. So for instance, if I'm not expecting anybody from the office to be working that time period, can I shut down file servers?
Yeah.
Are those segmented enough to where I can do that and not affect everything else? Can I shut down certain storage systems that nobody needs to use during this time period? Make sure, obviously, your backups are running and all that other stuff. But if you've, and even if you haven't, then use this for planning next year. Because next year you should be in a position that whenever we have these holidays, because that's always when attackers hit, separate out your critical systems and services as much as you can so I can just shut them down. So if I do get a ransomware attack, the only thing that was open at that time, the only thing that was actually running was, maybe the online shopping cart, the website, the whatever else you have. But the internal file systems and things like that, those are all shut down for the holidays because we do that every year. Now your ransomware never hit that stuff, which is awesome when you're trying to recover.
Right. Well,
Um,
and little things like looking at your ports. Only allow DNS queries from outside from your DNS servers. Your clients shouldn't need to hit an external DNS, and that is an avenue of attack. Is they'll hide the message in DNS queries.
right. Yeah, and be clear about what it is you're shutting down too for your users. So, like for instance, you talked about egress, uh, traffic. Well, if there's nobody in the office, I probably don't need a lot of this egress traffic that I'm just allowing in a default, permit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So start maybe shut down 21, shut down, you know, everything maybe 53 and 80, or I'm sorry, 445 and 80,
Yeah. Maybe just whatever
because they
you
don't need
get
it.
in and manage it if you absolutely have to.
443.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you
Yeah.
like Office 365 is so prevalent, you don't have users can still get their email,
Hmm.
but your infrastructure, assuming you have one, is safe if you don't need it. If you're closing down, yeah, shut down everything but what is absolutely needed.
Right. Because I think in an ideal world, maybe you would do that, right? Can you give your employees a break this, this Christmas season and maybe send that. I mean, in an ideal world, you're only going to have access to email and you're only going to get access to, the Office 365 environment while the office is closed. Uh, that way you've shut down, essentially everything else.
Yeah. And
That's
again, if there are things that need to be, accessed, okay, well, we need to be able to respond quickly if this happens, so we need this service. Okay, figure that out and only leave those things open.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. So in terms of what you can do in advance to protect yourself, we talked about the upfront communication, reminding people that hey, this is the holiday season. Expect an increase in attack traffic. Don't click on links. Be careful. All that good stuff. I think another thing we mentioned was um, to do the what if scenario working through with your team. Right. Make sure you have adequate. I'm sorry. It was make sure you have adequate coverage.
Right.
Right. Somebody needs to be watching all the time. Depending on the environment, if it's just like a whatever, no critical services, then I don't know, maybe shut down the entire
Right.
environment. But if things are going to be running, somebody should be watching. So make sure you have the coverage, do the what if scenario planning, and then shut down everything that you can shut down,
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not sure, this is a great exercise because you should know this anyway. What things are critical, what things are not critical.
Yep.
Keep those critical systems running, and the non-critical systems, let's shut them down for the holidays. We don't need them.
Absolutely. Easy.
It's a hell of a lot of work,
Yeah.
man. But
Well, it goes
we get paid to work.
right. Well, and that goes to the heart of what we've been preaching, right? It's in concept what we need to do. These are simple, easy to understand concepts, but getting to them, the work behind it's an incredible amount of work. There's not an
Absolutely.
easy button, but it's an easy thing to understand. Hey, just shut down everything you don't need. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
What do you need? I have no idea. Go find out.
That's a problem.
That's work.
Right. And so for people that are just hearing this now, and we're 2 weeks away from actual Christmas Eve day, uh, you're not going to have enough time to go
Not
through
like
and find all your critical systems. But what you can do is start taking a look at your environment between now and then and identify what systems you know are not critical.
yeah,
Like I know for sure that this test database,
yeah. The
doesn't
printer.
need to be running. Right. So make a list of those things and start, planning to shut those down. Don't just shut them down without communication, with executive management.
Right.
This is what we're planning to do to handle the holiday. This is our holiday preparation plan. We're going to shut down all these systems. If people have issues during this time, it's expected it'll be back up again on January 2nd or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
If there's an emergency, give us a call.
Yep.
And I think, and so one other thing that we used to do, and it was easier then because we had control of the environment much more than what we have in cloud environments and all that stuff now, is we would always deploy a second group policy that would have enhanced logging
Hmm.
configuration built into it. So, in our normal operations, we had adequate logging, but we were always restricted in the amount of storage we had, right? So
Mm.
we weren't logging everything we probably should have in a critical environment because we had restrictions. But during the holiday season, it was ramp up all the logging, all the alerting,
Well,
because there's a higher likelihood that something bad's going to happen. And when it does, I need that evidence to do the investigation.
well, in theory, you shouldn't be getting nearly the amount of alerts if nobody's in the office, right? You shouldn't have the events going on. So kind of balances each other out.
Yep. Yep. So we would always, and it was an easy change, right? We just deploy
Yep.
the new group policy, logging up basically on everything, and it got chatty. But you go through this in a couple of holiday seasons, and you get to tune it pretty well. So,
Yeah.
and even if it's chatty, at least that gives somebody something to do because you have the coverage, right? Somebody's just sitting there,
Right.
just watching a console. No, tune things while you're there.
Yep. Agreed.
So, yeah, I think that's the best advice I can give. That's the only things I can think of. Can you think of anything else?
No, like I said, it's kind of funny. Yeah, you got to be paying more attention, but at the same time, it's like, hey, these are what we should be doing all the time anyway.
Yeah, it's an intimate understanding of yourself, man. I mean, that situational awareness. I can't undersell that.
No, I agree, 100%.
So to recap really quick, what did we have? We had the communication up front, which I think is fantastic. Let everybody know that hey, this holiday season, what have you. Make sure you have adequate coverage. Somebody needs to be watching all
Mm-hmm.
the time. 3, do some what if scenario working with your team. 1, 2 hours, just have a meeting and just talk through what are all the what ifs and what are we going to do. Step 1 to step maybe 3, right?
Right.
What are we going to do until you get to that part where the incident response plan is going to cover it from there. But chances are most of the incidents you'll handle in the first 1 to 3 steps anyway, so you're good. If you don't do the 1 to 3 steps, then 4, 5, and 6 come, and you don't want those.
Right.
So communication, coverage, the what if scenario working, shut down everything you can shut down. Why not?
Yep.
It's called an attack surface, and the wider your attack surface, it's the more things that can be attacked. So shut them down.
Absolutely.
And then number 5 was up your game on logging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, easy.
Yeah, I love this stuff, man, because you take this really seriously. I'm doing my best to protect my company, our customers.
Right.
It's my duty, and I love doing it, just like you do.
Yep.
All right, so one news article we have real quick, and then we'll wrap up this show. You found a news article
Yeah.
today. Tell us about
Yeah,
it.
it's on Threatpost. It's fueled by pandemic realities. Grinch bots aggressively surge in activity. So it's basically saying, we saw this with the PS5. We see it all the time. But these, I think, what do they call it? The Grinches here. It's actually it's pretty funny. They tie it to like Whoville is under siege. Um, but bot traffic on retail sites in November spiked 73% over the previous month. And so basically what they're doing is they're querying these online inventories, and they can purchase much faster than a human can. So they'll go in and they create all these accounts that look like real people, and then buy up all the product and then sell it for double or triple on eBay or wherever.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's and that's actually been happening for years. We would use scripts to do this kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right? So you'd script out, um, how to buy 50 of a product that's being sold at, Black Friday prices or some huge deal,
Right.
and you pay for it, right? So you're not really stealing it. You'd pay for it, and then, like you said, sell it on eBay, sell it on something else, or sell it on your own store after the holidays, maybe.
Right. Yeah. And then
And
the other thing is they're now
it's
doing
interesting.
gift card cracking too. So they're just,
And there's nothing you can do about
I
that.
know. Yeah.
We knew that was coming too. I mean, I'm surprised it took this long to get so widespread.
Yeah. It would, and you think it would be easy to fix, right? If you want to use the gift card, it's a number on the card that it only exists, there. You can't, it's similar to a pin, right? Just put something on there that you have to enter into the system to validate it at the time of use.
Or expand the key space, right? You start using
Yeah.
letters as well.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no reason not to.
I mean, like you said, it's so simple, right? When I have a key space of 10, right, just numerics 0 to 9, and how long is a credit card number? Is that 16 digits?
16, I think.
So mathematically, you can figure out how long it would take for a computer to exhaust that whole
Not
namespace, right?
long.
That's cracking it. If you put letters on there, now I've got another key space, adding 26 more characters,
Well, 52 because you got upper and
makes it
lower.
harder. There you go. Yep.
And then,
So,
yeah, just special characters. There's about 20 of those.
but I mean, even something as
But
simple
yeah.
as just the card
Oh, I
companies
agree.
just adding a letter
Yeah,
negates this attack.
100%. Or, well,
You and me,
99.9%.
right? You and me, we can't do nothing
No. So,
at the
beware.
mercy. All right, man. Great episode. I think we gave some good tips today. I'm excited. Are we doing? Yep. Next week. Next week I'll be in Mexico, so we'll do another episode then.
Okay. Sounds good.
Who you got shout outs for?
I'm just going to shout out the whole FRSecure family. This has been a long year, and everybody just came together, and we were talking about at the beginning. Everybody did what they had to do, and we made it through. So, great job to every single person, top to bottom.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I can't. I totally 100% agree with that. And I'll give a shout out on the security studio side too. I mean, so bought into the mission, bought into doing things right, and startup world is really, really, really hard work. And so you have to do a whole bunch of things that aren't necessarily in your job description, but they're things that need to be done because somebody needs to do it.
Right.
And we have a really great team, just like we did at the earlier days at FRSecure when things weren't as formalized, and you had to just kind of do a little bit of everything. Um, so I appreciate that people step up, and we everybody drops balls, but not many of them. And I'm
Yeah.
proud of them.
Yep.
All right, well, have a good one. We'll see you next week.